What's up, Stokers? Before we begin this podcast, I want to let you know once again that we are brought to you by Manscaped. Manscaped, thank you so much for keeping our trims peeled, for looking after our hogs, for making sure their dinks are looking fresh and clean. Because Manscaped just launched their 4th generation performance package. You know it's sport betting season, and the odds are in your favor when you use the Lawnmower 4.0 on your balls. Ready to take the leap to male grooming royalty? 2 million men already have. Join the Manscaped movement by going to manscaped.com for 20% off plus free shipping with the code Go Deep. We're also brought to you by the legends at Rumple. Rumple, what up? Let's give a big shout out to Rumple, our new favorite blankets made to go anywhere you go. Rumple's original puffy blanket is made sustainably with the same quality materials as your favorite puffy jacket. So whether you're hitting the beach or camping in the mountains, Rumple has you covered. Literally, they've got cool designs and packable products for that on-the-go lifestyle. Get yours at rumple.com. Enter code DEEP15 for 15% off your first order. That's rumple.com, RUMPL, with the code DEEP15 for 15% off your first order. Okay, let's start the show. What's with Deep? Going deep, chatting JT. All right.
Do you guys have to get in character?
This is character.
Yeah, well, I've been trying out more intros, and lately I've been watching Limp Bizkit live, so I thought I'd start with the lyrics of Rollin'. Did I do on the last pod?
I don't think it matters. I think I like the consistency in it. Yeah.
Okay, cool.
It would suck to be
And Limp Bizkit.
in the sense that like you were at one point like one of the biggest bands in the world.
Mm-hmm.
You were not just like cool, but like cutting edge in your coolness.
Yeah.
You helped popularize a genre, and then you sell millions of albums, and then people are like, "No, that didn't happen. You
Right.
were always lame, and we always hated you."
It's a great point.
I feel a resurgence coming though. I mean, but granted, my cousin sent me a video of them live from like 2013, and I was like, oh, after like 2003, 2004, Fred Durst just fell off the face of the earth. But then I watched this live video, and I was like, oh, they fucking rip live, and I was like, dude, I gotta go see Limp Bizkit. And so now I'm like, I gotta see Limp Bizkit. So.
Is it like a tall poppy thing too? Like, can you reach that apex of cool and not look uncool to like the succeeding generation?
I don't know, because they must have been like, our music is not that different than Linkin Park's. Why are they like? I mean, neither of them would be considered like super like trendy, but like one is like a caricature of shittiness, and then the other is like, oh yeah, they're a big rock band.
Yeah, kind of just like a nostalgia thing. Yeah, I think also Fred Durst was kind of a jerk.
Yeah, I think maybe that's what it was.
Like, I always bring up he talked about how Britney Spears was going to see Justin Timberlake, and he ran into her at an airport, and then he was like, nah, you're coming with me. And then he's like, we went to Palm Springs for a week. And then during that same interview where he's telling that story, the journalist goes, we asked Britney about it. She said none of that's true. And then he just goes, damn. he's like really hurt. Yeah. And then I saw him in Orange County, and he left like 20 minutes into the show because he said we were like a bad crowd.
Really?
When was this?
This was Family Values Tour, probably 1999 or 2000. First concert I ever went to.
Oh, wow.
I think it's also important, like a gimmick, like the red hat, it can help you on the way up, right? And it makes you more recognizable, but then it also makes it easier to deride. So like the guy from Nickelback, like the long hair, etc., makes you really iconic, but then it also makes you easy to lampoon.
Right.
Yeah, I was actually watching some interviews with him and Wes Borland last night, and actually one was just Fred Durst in like '99, and they're like, Fred, what do you have to say to the camera? He's like, the music industry sucks, everyone sucks, you can't trust anyone, I hate everyone. And you're like, whoa, dude.
Yeah,
like,
the power went to his head, I think.
That's really, it was intense.
Hot take, I would say that, and I'm sure people who are all fans of my work would be surprised because I would say that the Limp Bizkit cover of Behind Blue Eyes is actually one of the few covers that is better than the original. I feel somewhat embarrassed to admit that.
I don't even
to
remember
listen to
that
it,
one.
But it's like
It's for the movie Gothica, right?
I think so. I think like Halle Berry's in the music video, but like it's like a legit good song. And if it was not by Limp Bizkit, I think it would be a much more popular song. And the fact that it was them and relatively late in their career, it's not that we've slept on it. We just like, it's like one of those things where you're like, I'm going to pretend that's not good, but it's better than the original because the song is good, but it's like a really sad song that's like happy by the Who. It's weirdly done by the Who, and there's this weird like intermission in it. And so I would actually, I think where credit is due, it's a legit song that should be more popular.
That's a beautiful take.
Wow. Yeah.
Does he have the vocals to get up to those like Daltrey like kind of?
No, he
blasting?
doesn't. He kind of like doesn't do any of that. So it's like
he just kind of raps it a little bit.
This is too far, but it's almost like a Johnny Cash Hurt thing where you're just like, wow,
Slows
like
it down.
the real song is like okay, but you're just like, whoa, this is a totally different song.
That's awesome.
How do you think Fred Durst could have used stoicism to stay at the top? What do you think?
I'm not sure that's possible, and I would say probably the popularity of him and music in that was just like, it's kind of weird. You look back at that period of music and just like wow, like so we were just like totally cool with misogyny, like we were just cool with like a lot of like
being really angry.
Yeah, I was listening. I mean, you listen to like break stuff, right?
Yeah,
good
The
song.
lyrics, it's like an 8th grader. You know, it's like it's like it's one of those days where you don't want to get up. Everybody sucks, you know? And it's like, and we were talking about this actually because I was watching a lot of movies from like 99 and stuff. And it's like the white male rage and stuff. And like after 9/11,
where did that go? That feels like it just disappeared and we've never seen it since.
Yeah, exactly. Well, now you hear the songs too of like them being like all pissed off, you know, and it just doesn't hit the same as
well, you're kind of like,
those...
where did all this like where did these like sort of Trumpy, like this angry white, like where did the January 6th energy come from? And it's like we flash back 20 years and all those people were 20, 25. Right. Like it's like that they were listening to Eminem and Fred Durst and like all the white male rage music, and then now they're angry adults who, you know, it's not so good.
System of a Down needs to come back,
but it didn't work.
I just read an oral history about
process.
I just read an oral history of whatever that bit of Toxicity
on The Ringer.
Yeah, it was so good.
Really, I need to check that out.
And he was good on Marin. Serge.
Oh, he was just on
good Marin.
it
was
a while ago.
A while ago, but that. But then I was like, you're like white male rage, but then you're also like, wait, System of a Down debuted at #1, one of the biggest albums of that era. You're like, it's so different, but it also the same.
Durst has
Punk
some
rock came back in the late 90s too, so like there's all kind of a confluence of anger and angst all at once.
Durst has some flexibility. When his career kind of went down in music, he started directing movies.
He's done like 9 of them.
Yeah, and he did this movie, The Education of Charlie Banks, which is about like John Ritter's son is like a ruffian, and he finds like a surrogate family at like an elite liberal arts college. But there's like talks about like Derrida, what's the guy's name? The French like deconstructionist.
Oh, the philosopher.
Yeah, the philosopher, and it's in a Fred Durst movie, dude. And as far as I know, it was an intelligent kind of a...
Didn't Fred Durst also discover the band Puddle of Mud?
Did he
Dude,
really?
they were good.
I didn't know
Blurry.
Blurry's a
Blurry's
great
good.
song.
Their first song, see, the mistake with Puddle of Mud was that the first song they came out with was like, I love the way you smack my ass.
Yeah.
I love the way you pull my hair. And it was a little too cheesy. But the rest of their songs are really just about breaking up with your girlfriend and not being able to see your son as much.
Yeah.
And I think they should have led with that. These are all good bands.
Dude, I love talking about these
But
bands.
why is it like in 10 years they'll be like again touring arenas and we'll just pretend like in the same way that like hair metal bands and whatever are like is there a nostalgia valley?
I think
and
it's
we're
going to be a couple
just
hundred
about
years.
to come out of it.
Well, see, I think about this, like, what if in, like, you know better than me, but, like, I sometimes wonder, like, so there's other writers who are around with Shakespeare, because Shakespeare wasn't, like, the preeminent writer at this time. Like, people liked, like, Christopher Marlowe more. Like, what if Shakespeare was, like, the Limp Bizkit of his time? But now with all that context removed, we're all like, Shakespeare was the best, dude. And, like, Christopher Marlowe was, like, Radiohead. But 1,000 years from then, everyone's like, that band's not that great.
Well, I'll tell you, that's how I felt watching Limp Bizkit live 2 weeks ago.
That this was the Shakespeare of their time.
It moved me. It moved like the little angry guy inside.
Shakespeare, like, used, like, what, he had, like, 26,000 words in his vocabulary. Fred Durst is close to that, dude. He's got...
It's funny that you mentioned 8th grade or whatever, because I remember that playing at an 8th grade dance that I was
really?
at. Yeah, that song. And, like, just everyone going, like, insane.
Yeah.
And I'm amazed that they were allowed to play it, but, like, it does have a certain, like, juvenile energy to it that maybe
Power.
that's where it's like that's what it's rooted in and why it doesn't age as well.
Yeah.
But are these bands gonna be like the nostalgia acts of like a little bit further, or is the fact that the other nostalgia acts still haven't gone away, that it was kind of a one-time thing? I don't know.
It's a logjam. It is charming to think about Fred Durst at 75 being like, it's just one of those days when you don't want to wake up. Everything is fucked. Everybody sucks. But he's like old and like his body's kind of whittled down. That's to your Johnny Cash point. It would like the power and hurt is that like, you know, he's at death's door.
Yeah. I'm hoping that there will be like a, you know, rebirth of this guy. I've heard people talk about Korn lately. You know,
I feel like it's a big tour. Yeah.
Yeah, I feel like it's coming back. And I also just selfishly, I want that to happen so I can like talk to younger kids and be like, yeah, I remember when Hybrid Theory came out. You know, it was huge. Or Meteora. You know, I don't know. That's just because I want to seem cool to the younger.
Well, I don't know what you guys want to talk about, but I could talk about this all day. Because then I just messaged my friend, like Spotify somehow put me on like a Matchbox 20 like playlist. I clicked on it or something. But I was like, holy shit, this band had like so many more hits than I thought. Yeah. Like I could have named like 2. And then I was like, no, this was like 10 or like 12 like monster songs. And I was like, fuck. Oh, wow. You know Good for you. Yeah. And then what I was saying is like, to go to the point about Linkin Park versus Limp Bizkit, why did Matchbox 20, they're like they're not like cool, but they're not like uncool. And then why is Limp Bizkit, but then Nickelback is like the least cool band of all time. And like similar popularity, similar amount of sales, probably similar amount of hits, similar kind of like dad rock genre. But one gets like one's the black sheep and the other's just like whatever.
It's arbitrary. I think it is. I don't think there's a great explanation because I listen. Nickelback has like a bunch of good songs. Yeah. And I was playing their music one time at a tailgate to get people to antagonize me, and a bunch of like music snobs came in and started talking trash, and it was just I don't know, something just becomes like I was gonna make way too big of a comparison there, but I think sometimes people just.
You mean bigger than Limp Bizkit and Shakespeare?
Yeah, I was. It might be.
So if you didn't draw the line there,
it was. Do you remember when Christopher Hitchens was on Bill Maher and he said something? Bill Maher made a crack about George Bush and the whole crowd went ballistic. And then Christopher Hitchens was like, dumb people like jokes about George Bush because it makes them feel smarter than the president. And so they'll always clap for that. Sure. So I was going to say Nickelback's George Bush, where they just become, I think George Bush probably deserved it more, but they just become like this lightning rod for people to feel better than. And then once that happens, it's just out the gates.
Didn't the guy from Nickelback marry Avril Lavigne? Isn't that kind of perfect? Where
Are they still together?
I think they broke up.
They broke up?
Well, she dated the guy from Sum 41. They were married first.
Derek Wembley or something?
Something like that.
I'll tell you what. Sorry, go ahead.
Oh, no. I think about in those days, like Keanu Reeves was kind of like a joke.
Sure.
When The Matrix came out, everyone was making fun of Keanu and his acting. But now he stayed in the pocket, and now he's like the sweetheart.
Part of it's just not.
And he never changed.
He never changed.
He stuck to his guns.
Yeah.
Guy Fieri is similar. Like if you checked in with Guy Fieri in like 2008, he's like the least cool dude. But then 1, he doesn't change. 2, he shows like, oh, he's like cool with like he does like a lot of charitable stuff. And then 3, I think as people get older, they're like, wait, why do I give a shit? You know what I mean? Like,
right.
Like why do I have an opinion?
Yeah.
I think as I've gotten older, I'm just like, I just don't.
Well, yeah, I think he's a good guy, and he stayed in the pocket. He didn't change, and it's sort of like with like bullying or whatever. You like bullying someone, and they don't really respond to it, and then
you're just like, oh, this is who you are.
Yeah, you start to love him. Yeah.
Is that a problem you have when you're bullying people?
It is. Yeah.
It's just not landing.
Yeah, I'm like, this is not working. I wanted to destroy this kid, but I'll get there. That's my biggest bullying problem.
That was a good talk.
Yeah.
Avril Lavigne and Chad Kroeger broke up in 2015.
Damn. Oh man, is she remarried?
Doesn't last.
I was listening to Skater Boy on the way here. Still rips.
No, you weren't.
I've been really into like early 2000s, like Good Char. I guess that's later 2000s. Fall Out Boy. Santana and Matchbox 20.
Rob Thomas.
See,
Rob Thomas.
That's
yeah.
what Fred Durst needs is a young dude like Rob Thomas in that time to mint
Exactly.
him to the new gen. Like Olivia Rodrigo needs to do a song with Fred Durst.
Yeah.
And then, because that's like, I didn't know Santana, and then Smooth came out, and I was
Yeah.
like, this guy rips, man.
Yeah. And someone made a comment too. They're like, there's an argument to be made that Smooth has been the song of the summer since 1999. It's never changed. It's always Smooth.
You know, Mr. Brightside by the Killers has never fallen off the UK
Really?
Hot 100 charts or whatever.
Wow.
It's like it's the longest
Yeah.
of all songs.
Interesting.
Which you wouldn't
Wow.
think.
Yeah.
That's another band with way more hits than you think.
Yes.
But so we drove here from Texas. I had to do a bunch of stuff, and then we had to go to Northern California, and then we're doing something on the way back. But we were listening to Blink 182 on the way, and because weirdly, my wife and I just got sucked into kind of like a late 90s, early 2000s thing. And I was like, oh wow, you have also more hits than I thought. You kind of you forget, and then you're like, not only is this, do I remember the song, but like I remember I've seen this music video 50 times on television.
Yes. Yeah. It's interesting what happened to music videos too. No
Yeah.
one really watch. Does anyone watch music videos anymore?
Well, of course, if you go on YouTube, it's like 10 billion views.
Yeah, that's true. But
But
they,
like-
they just don't have the same.
Yeah,
I remember put on MTV VH1 and just watching for hours and just waiting for my favorite one to come on.
Or like I remember like sleeping, like going to sleep with MTV2 on,
Yes.
like on the weekends or whatever, and you're just like, so that was like a little better as far as the music goes, with a little more diversity as far as genres.
Like Matt Pinfield when he did that like 120 minutes at night or whatever.
There's a bunch of, but you're just like that. For even when we were young, MTV was already getting away from music videos, but then MTV2 was like only music videos. I wish
Yeah.
someone would bring Behind the Music back.
They
You
are.
know how they
They
keep
did.
Paramount Plus.
Yeah. Fat Joe. It's Fat Joe's.
Oh,
the
that's
new
a great
episode.
one to start
Yeah,
with.
Fat Joe's coming
What?
up. Yeah.
amazing.
Yeah. I'm stoked. I saw because I always
Wait, is
wonder
it
what
on
I was. I've
wait,
been-
what is it on?
Paramount Plus, yeah.
I've been
there you go.
wondering what happened to Fat Joe.
Yeah, what did happen to Fat Joe?
We'll see.
He's skinny now.
We will see.
Stand by.
Yeah.
He's skinny Joe now.
Dude, he looks good though. I gotta say, he
Still
looks the
fat?
same.
Or no?
He's still fat. Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. I think he's lost some weight, but still fat enough to be Fat Joe.
Nice.
Which fires me up.
And so, yeah, I guess this is a good time to segue. You've got a new book out,
I do.
Courage.
Courage is calling.
Yes.
So-
You just got one word from the title. I appreciate that.
I'm
I had the
in
You
courage
not only
to try.
didn't read it,
Yeah.
you read only.
But I read all your other books, though. I've read all your other books. Yeah.
I mean to
crushed
be
them all
weird,
this
but
summer.
after you came on our podcast, I read all your books, and you're
Oh,
one of my
thanks.
favorite authors.
Thank
now.
you.
Yeah, and actually, during COVID, I have Ego is the Enemy on tape, so I re-listen to that. And the biggest thing is Be a Student,
Yeah.
because we do like comedy and stuff, so I'm always like I need to keep. And but yeah, during COVID especially, it was just so. Those books were just so helpful at keeping me sort of, moving forward and keeping my sort of internal self strong, I guess.
Yeah, because you said, too, like Marcus Aurelius, like when he wrote a lot of his stuff, it was during a pandemic.
It was during the Antonine Plague, which is named after him, and that he may have died of.
Oh, interesting.
And there's like, so I obviously reread it during the pandemic, and there's you're like, not really understanding what a pandemic was. Then you read it during a pandemic, you're like, oh, all this stuff hits differently because
Yeah.
you're like, oh, you were being literal. Like there's this one line where he goes, he's like, there's two kinds of plagues. There's one that takes your life and the other that destroys your character. And you're like, oh, you were talking about the same assholes that we're dealing. You're talking about the Karen who's like screaming at the Whole Foods.
Yeah.
Because like some lady making $12 an hour like asked her to put on a mask.
Yeah.
You know, like these people are infected with a different thing, and that has existed for 2,000 years.
Did you find yourself getting more fired up during the pandemic as towards like people who were
so.
making those kind of choices?
I think so one, it was weird. Like it's weird that it was like, if you write about resiliency and obstacles and stillness and like all the themes that are in my books, like unfortunately the pandemic was like exactly drove a lot of people to read about those things. So it was like good for business in one sense, which I obviously would not trade for. Like if you were like, hey, this is gonna be good for you, but the biggest tragedy of 100 years will happen, I'd be like, I can sit this one out, you know?
Yeah.
But it was really interesting to realize like, oh, I thought all the people at this party were on the same page, and it's like, we're not.
Right.
So I think it's not less that it fired me up. It's more just like realizing like, oh, I thought some of these things didn't need to be said, but like, unfortunately, it's like my fans are the ones who need to hear it.
Did you also want to have like a history of you saying those things so that there would be like kind of
Like a record? No, but I do think like it would be much easier to only talk about the like, here's how to be more productive. Here's how to be more personally resilient. But Stoicism as a philosophy. So this book is one of a 4-book series. There's 4 virtues for the Stoics: courage, self-discipline, justice, and wisdom. Obviously, like self-discipline or courage would be the easiest to focus on because they're the least controversial. But then if you start to get into like truth, which is wisdom, or you get justice, which is what are our obligations to other people, what's the right thing, now you're having to make some value statements that implicitly criticize certain people. So, you know, I think it was more a conscious decision, like I'm not only going to say the uncontroversial stuff.
Right. And you wanted to put those kind of ideas into action and show how.
Yeah, it's like, okay, you have this platform. How do you use said platform? And to only use it in a way that tells people what they want to hear strikes me as not just like kind of cowardly, but also a violation of what the stuff is supposed to be about.
Right.
Like you can't just pick and choose.
And do you have a working definition for courage?
Yeah, it's when you put your ass on the line for something.
Nice.
I was thinking about you guys actually because I spoke at this
City council
thing, and as I was going, and I was like, this is very ripe for comedy. Like, so I get in, and first off, it's like the Texas Historical Commission, and it's like 100% old white dudes.
Yeah.
You know, like this is supposed to represent the whole history of a state that was originally part of Mexico, of which 50% is women, and it's just like basically all old white dudes. And like the dude opens the book and he's like, you know, we call to order this meeting of the Texas Historical Commission. We are taking COVID very seriously. Like, you know, like please only like the rules are you must wear a mask and like don't sit next. And it's like 30 commissioners all sitting next to each other, not a single one wearing. So you're just like, all right, like this is like not the best and the brightest. Like we're not sending our best.
Yeah.
Right. And then like I have to get up and explain why like a Confederate monument is offensive and stupid. And again, you're like, and we're all on the same page about this, right? And it's nope, we're not.
Yeah. They're interesting. We've been to some meetings lately where like the San Clemente one where it's just like, yeah, the some of the citizens will call out specific members, you know, like what was the one in San Clemente where they called out the guy? There was like a homeless shelter,
and so they're fighting over. There's more homeless people in San Clemente right now, but not really that much per capita compared to most places. But you know, San Clemente is fairly affluent, so I don't think they're accustomed to dealing with it. And you know, there was the two sides on how to deal with it, and no one was saying don't help the homeless, but one group was saying like let's build a shelter, and then the other group was saying yeah, let's build a shelter in another city and ship them there. And then and you know, everyone would preface what they were saying by saying like, look, I care about people. But there was one city council member who like on his face you could read that he was a little bit of like a hard ass, I guess. And
he
so
doesn't care about people.
Yeah, you kind of got that vibe. Like he doesn't want to feel like socially pressured into caring about people. Like he'll kind of give you the middle finger if you're like, hey, you don't care about people. He's like, fuck you. He's got kind of that energy.
JT talked to him in one of our videos actually. Our mask video in San Clemente.
Oh wow!
When he's like, "You guys are part of Antifa, huh? You guys are part of Antifa." And it was like, "You're like, my aunt's name is Mia or something."
Yeah.
And that was a city council guy, and that's the same guy.
Right.
I think people are having trouble with that, where you're like, okay, like first up, there's 500 and however many members of Congress. So it's like 530.
535.
That sounds right.
And like a certain percentage of them are gonna be. First off, they're not 500 plus people from like New York or LA. Like there's first off, you have to pick 500 people and you have to pick one person from every county in America. Chances are you're going to get some people who are not the best people.
Right.
And I don't mean like, I mean like you're just going to get people who are like, own a small business in Topeka. No offense to Topeka, but you're just getting like random ass people.
Yeah.
Good Topeka
And then,
people.
and like a certain percentage of them are going to be people who just believe random shit on the internet. Like, I think we sometimes forget that like government is representative and like representative means like an accurate smattering. And so like, we're like, well, why is the school board doing this? And it's like, because the school board member is like, the school board is like, first off, who wants to be on the school board? Second, like primarily old, primarily like white dude. Like you're getting a sample size where you're going to get some people who are like, you know, the January 6th thing was all Antifa. Like real people believe that. So some of those people are going to be like, in positions of influence and power.
Yeah, and most people don't pay attention to local elections.
Yeah.
So they just sort of let those happen, and they don't really know who. They oftentimes don't even vote, or they don't even know who they just sort of, you know, I'm guilty of that too. I just fill in a dot. I'm like, and so they don't really know who they're electing. And it's,
and that person might have won with 60 votes. Like I was reading something about like it's both sides. Like I was reading something about the head of the LA teachers union, who's like apparently like a radical nut on the left end of the spectrum. And it's like she got elected with like 600 votes or something. And she represents like, you know, 20,000 teachers in like the largest school district in America. And like she can hold the whole district and city hostage essentially.
Yeah.
And like there's really no one to blame but the fact that like most of the teachers didn't vote.
Yeah.
That's that's kind of exciting though because it's accessible then. Like anyone listening to this, you could run and win. Yeah. And wield tremendous power.
Isn't the wrestler Kane like mayor of somewhere?
I think
Ohio
so.
Or something?
Yeah.
There's a town near Big Bend National Park called, I'm forgetting what it's called. But anyways, their mayor's a goat.
A goat? A charismatic one?
He's a goat, and he likes beer. And then we were just there, and I was like reading the Wikipedia page about it. He's been the mayor a long time, and then like I guess some guy was like insulted by the mayor, or like some guy was holding like this is legit. He's like holding a grudge against the mayor, so he broke into the cage and castrated the mayor. So
goat?
Yeah, he castrated the goat, so they couldn't
reproduce.
No, so they like couldn't be a hereditary mayorship. Like they had to elect a new goat after.
Interesting.
Because
he was trying to cut nepotism off.
I don't know, but just it's a violent political protest. He cut the balls off this mayor goat.
They would need to give it some TRT to keep its mood up.
Yeah.
We should go to that council.
Do you have a dog?
I do have a dog.
Is he neutered?
It's a girl.
Okay.
But yeah.
She's spaded.
Yeah.
Does that affect their hormones?
I mean, I don't know why you would want like your dog walk like dangling balls all over your house. It seems like just for aesthetic reasons. It'd be nice.
It is. The first time I saw it, because I'd only ever seen neutered dogs my whole life. The first time I saw a dog with balls, I was like, "What is going on over there?"
And same with female dogs. You want just like a dog just bleeding all over your house once a month? It's disgusting.
Yeah, my mom just got a new dog, and they were waiting to. They're getting her spayed, but they had to let her go through heat like one time, and she's like, "Yeah, she's going through heat right now," and she's like, "I guess some dogs just come running up to her and might attack us." So I'm like, I didn't realize that was like a whole thing.
Do you take solace in in like animal behavior?
Take solace in animal behavior?
Yeah, like I just read that like rats, like the way that they kind of figure out who their partner is, it's kind of strangely similar to humans in a way. And like guys will get so frustrated, like I hate all the games that people play. But then rats, they play similar games. Like the female will like tease the male. The male has to be able to take the teasing, give her space, but not so much space that she doesn't feel like he's interested. And they kind of do this song and dance. And that made me feel better about all of like our kind of male-female interactions, because I was like, oh, this is like kind of hardwired into our biology.
Despite all our rage, we're just rats in a cage.
Yeah, exactly, dude. Who's that? Smashing Pumpkins? Those guys get it, dude. Billy Corgan gets it. Yeah. So, do you relate to animals at all?
Yeah, I mean, so I live on like a little farm, so we have like donkeys and goats and.
What do you get out of that?
They just walk around and you look at them.
That's cool.
But do you like when you're watching them and behave? Does it
The
take
donkeys,
away some of
especially,
your-
the donkeys are just like chill. They're like big, like living lawn gnomes. Like they just are. You know, like you don't really have to take care of them at all. They just chill, and they just like do their thing. And they're livestock guarding animals, so you have them because like they don't like anything running around them. So like they chase away coyotes and dogs and bobcats, and sometimes like ours fought off a mountain lion once.
Wow.
So they're just like, but most of the time they don't do anything. Just their presence is naturally a deterrent.
You had an animal too get stuck in your fence or something like that? Stuck in my fence. I think I remember you posting about it, and you had to like put it down.
I don't know about that. I mean, there's versions of that have happened. I have put, so like we have this bookstore which is my office, and then downstairs is a bookstore, and like there's three big longhorn skulls, and I had each one of them I had to put down.
Right.
But yeah, one of the things that it's like you have a pet and you're like, this is my dog. It's my dog for like the next 15 years. It's going to be cool. But then you have animals like on a farm and you're just like, you're around now, but you're going to die. Like there's just, death is just much more present.
Does that make you more comfortable with death?
I think so.
Yeah.
It makes you chiller about it because you're
Yeah.
like, well, the cows don't care.
Yeah.
You know, like,
And you carry around that coin.
I do. I
A
just gave it away to
A
someone I
more
saw earlier.
Fati?
No, Memento Mori.
Memento Mori. Why did I think of more Fati?
Because we have a coin that says
Oh,
that.
do
Did I
we?
give
And
you
I think
that?
we got it from you.
So yeah, but Memento Mori means remember death.
Right.
But yeah, you don't need as much of a reminder on a farm because just shit dies all the time.
Were you
Even
ever-
if you take care of it, they just, a certain amount of it dies.
Were you ever fixated on death, like stressed out about it?
I mean, I think most people think about it, right? And you're like, well, what happens? It's scary. I don't want to die. Like I think it's if it's not an overt fear, it's more of like a low grade,
Subconscious
just
thing.
like thing you're anxious about.
What do you think happens when you go?
Nothing.
Nice.
I think it's just it's like I think the best way I've heard it expressed is like, what were you before you were born?
Yeah. That's what Roger Ebert said. He said, I wasn't scared to be born. I'm not scared to die.
Yes. But what about before you were born? You were just nothing.
Nothing, I think, right?
Yeah.
Or I don't know.
You don't believe in like a soul?
I mean, I think there's something unique in each person that
Right.
like was the unique confluence of your DNA and experiences and moment, and that matters. Does it continue after either in the work or the maybe I think about it as like it exists in like the memories and interactions you had with other people, but like does it
Doesn't go back into like unified consciousness.
or maybe it does, I don't know, but the other thing is like what would that change? What would awareness of that change?
I think it takes some edge off for me.
But like why? Like what is it like? I guess
I'd probably
like,
dirt bike faster.
so you would be more willing to die because
Yeah.
you know that you enter some universal consciousness after.
Or I think you see that from people who are like intensely religious, that they're just not really afraid of going. They're just like, look, if it comes, I'll be in heaven with all my homies. You're like, that's nice.
Yeah, I guess.
You know people who talk like that.
Yeah, I do. Unfortunately, yeah.
Do you believe in love?
Do I believe in love? Yeah, of course.
So where do you think that comes from? Like the
Where
idea
does
of
love come from? I mean, probably from our evolutionary need to pair bond and raise children. But whether it's an accidental byproduct of something is somewhat irrelevant to the fact that it does exist.
That it's real to us.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, that's interesting. Because even if it is just something that just was just an offshoot of our evolution, you can't change that it's in your brain.
Well, like so like Elon Musk has popularized this question, like, how do we know we're not living in a computer simulation, right? And it's like, well, what would that change? What would you possibly do with this information?
Yeah.
That would take the edge off too.
Wouldn't make you more anxious? You're like, they could turn off the computer at any time.
Oh, is that how it works?
I don't know, maybe.
That's interesting.
Like it doesn't like, what about existence does that change? You're alive. You're in control of some things, but not most things. And meaning is what you create from your actions.
So are you agnostic about it, or are you sort of the mind that there's really no point in thinking too much about because it doesn't change anything here.
I mean, I'm agnostic in the sense that I think it's silly to say, like, I know there is a God for the following reasons.
Yeah.
Also seems silly to say there is obviously no God for the following reasons.
Yeah.
But do I think I'm God? No.
Right.
Right. So like the Stoic position is sort of like whether it's evolution, whether it's the God, whether it's the gods, or whether the Stoics sort of have this idea, they talk about fate and they talk about this idea of the logos, which is sort of like the rhythm of the universe or, things outside of your control. Mm-hmm. It doesn't, or what they call in Alcoholics Anonymous, like higher power. It's all the same thing at the end of the day, which is like, it's not up to you.
Right.
Right.
I was wondering about your process because you've written a number of books. You have a new book coming out, and you also are running the Daily Stoic, YouTube, Instagram, and you put out videos pretty much daily, right?
Email every day, social posts every day, emails on like or videos on a regular basis, but like obviously I don't make the video. Like I produce the stuff and then it gets cut up and
right. Yeah. And so do you have like a rigid schedule for yourself, or do you kind of like what's your day-to-day look like?
Wake up early. Mm-hmm. Don't touch my phone for the first 30 minutes to 1 hour I'm awake.
I don't know how you do that.
Discipline.
Courage.
It's just one of those days.
No way it's discipline, bro. No way.
It's just one of those days.
Go for a walk or run, depending on time, usually with my kids, and then spend some time with a journal, and then I write.
Nice.
And then basically everything after that is like a play it by ear or like what gets scheduled. That's the core.
Do you ever write fiction?
No.
Do you like fiction writers a lot?
Yeah.
Who are your like guys? Or gals?
I like Walker Percy. He's probably my favorite novelist.
I don't think I've ever heard of him.
Have you read John Fonte?
No.
Fonte's probably the best writer to ever write about Los Angeles. He wrote this book called Ask the Dust about Los Angeles in the 30s.
Are they like noir books or?
No, they're like they're hard to describe, but they're really good. You would love it.
Interesting.
His book Ask the Dust is incredible. So I like fiction, but I tend to like sort of older fiction. I usually like fiction that has some sort of like moral argument, as opposed to like, this is a book with a bunch of shitty people doing a bunch of shitty things, and then like the end.
Yeah, I agree. I'm sort of I like to be inspired, which is why I like your books a lot, because it always brings me to a sort of higher consciousness. I don't know how you say it, but just it's just sort of like this reminder of like, get out there, keep working.
Well, you know what I was just thinking focused. Ties into the 90s, early 2000s music. Although there was like a sort of rage and like whatever to it, there was like kind of an earnestness to it that when we immediately transitioned towards like the like hipster, first off like and there was that Sum 41 music video about it that I remember, but then there was like the Shins and like all the bands, remember the Strokes for like a period, and then more into the hipster
White
music.
Stripes.
Yeah, like all of that was kind of like hipster, like ironic, like
Wilco.
But it was like it wasn't earnest.
I just do that for the rest of the
and then so like the fact that like Limp Bizkit was like earnestly singing like fucking infantile, like immature lyrics about like having a rough day. Yeah. It didn't age well immediately into that stuff. And so I think, and I feel like that's kind of the theme of a lot of fiction, where it's just like nothing matters. Like there's like a cynicism to it. And I like earnest stuff. I think that's why Ted Lasso is like weirdly like counter programming. It's like, oh, this is like a non-shitty person who like kind of cares and is like, it's funny, but it's not that funny. Yeah.
I think the thing that works about it is that like with Ted Lasso, it's smart enough to choose earnestness, but it's aware of cynicism.
Yes.
And I think with Limp Bizkit, you never really got the feeling that they chose earnestness out of some kind of like philosophical choice. It was more just like, you know what I feel like saying today? I feel like saying, fuck you, man. And there wasn't much like, like critical thought going into it.
Well, yeah, like there was like, it's like, oh, this is good shit, man.
Yeah, I'm raw, dude. Yeah.
At their Woodstock 99, before their set, when they're coming out on stage, the whole band is just flipping off the crowd. They're just sort of standing there. I'm like, this is ridiculous, but I love it.
When I was at that show, they said, put your middle finger in the air. And I was 12 years old, and I was like, let's go, dude. I had my middle finger in the air. I was fired up.
And I was never an angry kid, but I loved I love that stuff, man.
And you like shit talkers a lot.
I do. I do like being. I think because the earnestness, because they're able to be themselves, and sort of if they are assholes, they can be assholes, and it's kind of.
What was the first concert you went to?
Dude, I didn't go to concerts for a while. I think maybe it was like Revolution, which is like a ska band. But I remember Metallica was at like the fair one year, and I was like, my brother's like 10 years older. He's really into like metal and stuff. Like his kids, he's making them listen to like Slayer and stuff. Do you play Iron Maiden for your kids?
Yeah.
Nice. That's
they have
cool.
like Iron Maiden shirts and stuff.
Do they?
Yeah.
That's awesome. Yeah. What's your favorite?
Yours?
First cut was Limp Bizkit, and then my second one was Phil Collins.
Really?
Is that
That's
a
awesome.
parental choice? They wanted.
I loved him too, but it was like his 5th farewell tour.
Yeah.
I'm starting to get the feeling he's not really going to retire. It might be a
He's got to pay
cynical
for all
cash
those
grab.
Alamo artifacts that he has.
Oh, really?
He's the world's largest collection of Alamo.
Phil Collins?
Interesting.
Merchandise.
Interesting. And he's from England,
Yeah.
so
But he's just like he has like a $10 million.
that'd be like if I was like
Alamo
super into like
collection.
Austerlitz or something.
Yeah.
Weird.
That's a nice obscure reference.
Thanks, dude.
What was your
Watched
first
a YouTube
concert?
video about it 6 months ago.
MXPX in Modesto.
Oh, nice.
MXPX, is that... No, I was thinking of NoFX. Who's MXPX?
They're a pop punk
Another
band.
pop punk band.
Yeah.
And those guys always have a philosophy, right? Like,
I think they were vaguely Christian?
They were vaguely kind of Christian, but they were like in the like the POD sense, where you're like Christian but like mainstream,
Yeah.
but not like
POD is pretty hardcore Christian.
No, but like there was like Christian music, and then there was like a handful
Then
of
there's, like,
bands
Switchfoot.
that were Christian and actual bands.
Yeah.
Right.
yeah,
like
right.
not all their songs were
and
about
Christian
God or
music
whatever.
rips. Because it's love songs about God. It's like a romance song about God.
This doesn't happen as much anymore, but like, you'd be like you'd be driving like through California, and you're trying to find stuff, you're hitting scan on the radio, and then like it's like it sounds like a love song, and then you hear him, like the guy singing by him, you're like, change it. 'Cause that's how you made it to the Christian rock
Capital H,
station.
yeah.
Is that your favorite Christian rock band, MXPX? Live is pretty good, too.
Wait, so Live was a Christian rock band?
Oh, they're super
So
Christian.
that's a category of
become
band.
Christian.
I wouldn't say I feel like it would be demeaning to describe them as a Christian rock band.
Right, they're broader than that.
Yes. But sure. I can't name any others in the category that I would like more.
Speaking of him, did you ever listen to him? I remember when Viva La Bam was huge.
Right.
Bam Margera was super. They're like a
Was that his brother's band? No, that was CKY.
CKY, but him was like a Norwegian like screamo band.
I remember being like, I should listen to him.
Yeah.
And then being like, no.
Yeah,
Like, it
listen.
just didn't work.
A little bit. I
Yeah,
tried. And
yeah.
he's like him and Guar. Do you remember Guar?
Yeah.
Guar's they put on these costumes. It's like death metal. I think.
Well,
Did you
so
ever
like,
listen to Norwegian death metal?
I think I think him's Norwegian. I think
Like
that's,
Varg?
Yes.
Those guys all killed each other.
Did they really?
They took one of their bandmates killed himself, and they found his body, and they took a photo with his brains and made that their album cover.
so like I being into Iron Maiden, people and like liking metal, people would be like, oh, you should like this band, and I was like, no, like I only like these 3 metal. The rest is just fucking weird.
It's weird
and not really music.
Yeah.
Like I'm so constrained.
Do you play instruments?
I used to play guitar. Yeah.
You shred?
No, I would not say that.
That's rough, right? I took guitar lessons for 4 years, and my guitar teacher quit because I wasn't progressing.
Like just quit generally or quit on you?
He just looked at me and he was like, "Hey, bro,
It's not gonna happen.
He's like, "You're not into it. It's not gonna happen."
So I'm left-handed. So like I learned guitar left-handed, and then like I needed a better guitar. And I remember my dad trying to convince the guitar teacher that they should just teach me right-handed. Like
Right.
being like, wouldn't it just be easier to just do everything with your non-dominant hand? And I'm like, what the fuck are you talking about?
Guys, I'm interrupting this podcast to let you know once again that we are brought to you by Manscaped. Manscaped, thank you so much for keeping our trims peeled, for looking after our hogs, for making sure their dinks are looking fresh and clean. Because attention to gamblers of all shapes and sizes, our friends at Manscaped have a can't miss bet for you today. The leaders in male grooming just launched their 4th generation performance package. The betting odds are in your favor when you use the Lawnmower 4.0 on your balls. Guys, I trimmed my pubes on Sunday, and I gotta say it was the smoothest, most epic, just the dankest sesh of my life, and I felt free as a fucking whistle. Um, yeah. So check out the Performance Package 4.0. You get all the goodies. I'm talking the Lawnmower 4.0, the Weed Whacker, all the ball deodorant, ball trim knickknacks for your patty wax and your nuts. So check it out. Manscaped is the best. They got the ball deodorant. They got the good stuff. They got the performance package. Hop on it today. If you're not on the Manscaped train, get on it today. Get 20% off plus free shipping with the code GODEEP at manscaped.com. That's 20% off plus free shipping with the code GODEEP at manscaped.com. Fellas, do not gamble on shaving your balls with the wrong tools. Choose Manscaped. Your balls will thank you. Finally, we are brought to you by, or actually, I want to give a big shout out to these guys because these guys are legit. We're brought to you by Rumple. Rumple is the dankest blanket company I've ever heard of. You know how it was founded? By these two dudes on a surf and ski trip through California. They were stuck in the back of their van in sub-zero temperatures, and they're chugging whiskey, and they're like trying to keep warm, but they had a crazy idea. They're like, what if we had like a sleeping bag blanket? And now they're sharing their discovery with the world while also helping the environment. So these Rumple original puffy blankets are made with the same materials found in premium outdoor gear and activewear. They're built for everywhere, whether you're on the beach, in the van, at a music festival, chilling at home. It's built to keep you warm and cozy everywhere. And they're sustainable. They're made from 60 discarded plastic bottles. Rumple even donates 1% of revenue to beach-friendly nonprofits like Save the Waves, so you can give a gift to yourself while also giving back to Mother Nature. I use it all the time. I used it to watch Fast and the Furious once again, and I was nice and snug and warm, and I was like, because it was like chilly for like a couple days in LA, and I was like, what is going on? But thank you, Rumple, for making me warm and feeling good about the earth. If you want to feel good knowing that your favorite on-the-go blanket is made sustainably using recycled materials so they care for the earth, go to rumple.com and enter code D15 for 15% off your first order. Go to rumple.com and enter code D15 for 15% off your first order. That's Rumple, RUMPL.com with code D15 for 15% off your first order. Okay, back to the show.
What do you think about masturbation?
What do you mean? What do I think about it?
Yeah.
That it exists? I mean, what?
Is it bad for people?
I'm not sure it's bad for people. I mean, clearly, there's not like health there's not negative health reasons.
I worry there is.
What are you worried about?
Well, I googled it the other day. Is masturbation bad for your brain? It said it can cause memory loss.
Really?
If you do it too much. Because like you overload your like whatever the neurotransmitter is that you're hitting, and then it can cause like some I
mean, I think like anything, it's
effects.
probably could be addictive. Like any behavior can become compulsive.
And I kind of threw it at you like a gotcha thing, but I am curious like what like the Stoics think about it. Like is that kind of like that kind of hedonism and that kind of self-pleasure, does that kind of make your spirit weaker?
I'm not sure it makes your spirit weaker. There's a Cynic philosopher, Diogenes.
He's my favorite.
Well, I can imagine, but do you know what he said about masturbation?
What?
He says, if only if only I could pat my stomach and not feel hungry. Like he was comparing hunger and he's like, it's pretty magical.
Oh, right. That's just
like,
a physical act.
If I could just do that. Right?
I love that. And he used to masturbate in like public, right?
Yeah, that was his thing.
Yeah. And then when Alexander the Great came into town and he was like, what do you want? He's like, get out of the way. You're blocking the sun.
Yeah.
Isn't that cool?
That is cool.
So I think that's one of the problems, right? So he's like really a genius philosopher, but like clearly either insane or like antisocial. Like, so it's like, it's this weird thing where like from
He'd probably
the genius,
be like bipolar now or something.
Yeah,
like
from
that.
it's like you got these genius ideas, but also you live in a barrel and you just walk around jerking off in public.
And so he was in a barrel the whole time. He didn't have like a house he would retire to.
No, I think he left. I think he revoked. What's that? No, renounced all of his worldly things and lived on as little as possible. There's another famous Diogenes story where like he's like he didn't own anything, so he's like, except for a cup, and he goes to the well or whatever to like drink with his cup, and he sees like a young boy like drinking with his hands, and he smashes the cup on the ground because he realizes like he doesn't even need this.
He's too attached to it.
No, that his life could be even. You'd think that life with nothing but possessing one cup would be as simple as it gets. And then you realize, like, oh, it can actually be reduced further.
I wonder with guys like that too. It's like he was probably smart enough where he could pull that whole lifestyle off. But most
or
people,
maybe he was like not as weird, and just like after the fact, people are like, he used to jerk off, just walk around town. It's not even true.
Oh, it's kind of like urban myths about him.
It could be, yeah.
Legend building. Nice. Definitely couldn't do that today.
Yeah.
I wouldn't recommend that to any new philosophers.
Yeah. Or maybe it's like a Kanye West scenario where it's like sometimes you're legit and sometimes you're fucking.
Well, with him, it's like his music's getting worse, and so his craziness is getting less palatable for me because I'm like, it all made sense to me when the music was brilliant, but now I'm like, he's raising his burden of proof with each crazy act, and I don't think he's quite clearing it now.
Well, why are we just supposed to pretend that this dude didn't like 8 months ago try, or 10 months ago tried to like upend the presidential race? You know what I mean? Like, we're just supposed to like pretend that was just like a cool media stunt, or we're like, oh, he was off his meds, but he's good now. Like, that seems like awfully generous.
If you were writing Ego is the Enemy now, would you cite Kanye?
I think I do.
Did you?
I don't know if I tell any specific stories.
Yeah.
But I try, like, I generally, like, so when I was talking about Howard Hughes, I was thinking about Dove Charney and Kanye West.
Mm-hmm.
So, like, I generally try to, and I learned this from Robert Greene, who's my mentor, but you try to tell older stories with an eye towards a modern thing so people can make the connection,
right.
But then you're not being like, but I fucking love Kanye West.
Right.
You want to talk about people that people have less strong opinions about, so their reservations are not like immediate.
Oh, interesting. Yeah, if people come into it with too much like preconceived notions of the person, it's too loaded already.
Well, like, I imagine when you guys do your stuff, like, the less political it is, the more
it resonates.
It more resonates. Or if it's about something that like everyone like ironically, like 3 or 4 years ago, like doing some like if you did a stunt about being anti-vax, everyone would have laughed at it.
Yeah.
And now for political reasons, like only 60% of people would laugh at it.
Right.
Yeah.
And so it's like, it kind of depends on where things are. And like, honestly, some of the mistakes I feel like I made in my book, it's like, I thought something was like outside the statute of limitations, but like actually people still feel.
How do you gauge that?
I don't know. It's just kind of a gut feeling, but like, I told in my book, The Obstacles Away, I told a story of Obama in the primary, the Reverend Wright scandal, and he gives this great speech about
Such
race.
a good speech.
He basically takes the worst thing that happened to his
Sorry to all
campaign.
our Republican listeners.
Right.
I liked it.
No, so he takes
good. He
takes
wrote it
this
himself.
dark moment and it transforms the campaign. It seals it up, right? Mm-hmm. And then people are just like, "Wah!"
And wasn't his whole team telling him not to write the speech and do the speech? And he was like,
Yeah, he said, no, this is a teachable moment. And so that's obviously what the whole book is about. It's like, how do you take a dark moment, turn it into a teachable moment? And so like, I thought we could all see past politics, but some people can't. Like, I have a site called Daily Dad. I also do an email every day about parenting. And like, we posted like an Obama quote on Instagram the other day. Mm-hmm. And people are like, Obama's not even really a parent. Like, Michelle Obama was impregnated by their neighbor, like, so,
Yeah.
You're just like, oh, okay. So you can't even like, you can't even like, it's like, I think the quote was something like, having kids is one thing, being a parent is another.
Yeah.
Like, it doesn't matter who fucking said it. That's a good quote, you know, but it's like some people can't see that. So I try to generally zoom out and do things that don't trigger people that way.
Right.
Do you find it? Do you not separate the art from the artist? Like, do you like to kind of think about the morality of the person who's creating the content or making these?
Like, as a fan?
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess. But I it's like, if a person's a piece of shit, it makes it harder to. So for me and the Kanye thing, it's just like, it's like well past like Chris Brown territory. You're just like, this dude tried to sabotage a presidential election.
Yeah.
That doesn't seem like, I'm not going to be like, oh, cool, but the new song's good.
Yeah.
And I get more fired up. Like, I like Bruce Springsteen a lot because I'm like, he seems like a pretty good guy. Like, he's got the same band for like 40 years, been in the same marriage for like 30 years. You know, he always gives love to his hometown and to like the underdog and stuff like that. And I think I can't separate that from his music. That's part of what makes the music like great for me. Is that I believe him, I guess.
But if the music sucked, you wouldn't care about that stuff.
No, you got to be good in both categories.
Yeah.
And then we were talking about sports before you came on. You're reading the Patriots book.
Yeah.
And you were talking about, what were you saying about Tom Brady, why he wanted to go to Tampa Bay?
Well, the book's called It's Better to Be Feared. And it's about like Tom Brady and Belichick and the Patriots. But it was an interesting read that basically it was like he wanted to keep playing, but didn't want the grind of like what they call the Patriot way anymore, which is sort of a like relentless focus on progress, never being satisfied, never being pleased, like basically not having fun, always putting the team's interests above yourself. It sounded like he was moving towards a slightly more balanced.
He wanted a little more joy in it, right? He wanted to have fun.
What Bruce Arians has like a slow, I forget what it is. It's like win or lose we beer or something like that.
Oh, really?
Yeah. But like
win or lose we booze. That's what they say.
Yeah. So I should have guessed.
That's what all my buddies
there has to be a rhyme. Yeah. But it seems like it's a slightly more joyful way to play the game. Which I think about. It's like if you don't like it, why are you doing it?
Do you try to apply that to your writing?
Yeah, I do. I think starting probably on Stillness, I was just like, if I'm going to keep doing this, it can't be painful every time.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think that, I mean, especially in like creative work too.
Yeah.
With like what we do, if we're making a video or whatever, if you're having fun in the process, I think that bleeds through to the audience.
Yeah, and certainly you can feel like if it sucks, like for the person making it, if it's a chore, sometimes you can get good stuff, but like I do feel like eventually they sense it.
Yeah.
And so we were kind of talking about too, like, do you think you can be the best at something and have that balanced outlook?
I don't know if you can be the all-time best, but I feel like you can be near the top.
Yeah, because you were saying Manu Ginobili is a pretty chill guy.
He seems that way. I mean, you're like 4 rings. You're not just like he's the most driven person in the entire world, and it's consumed him in his life and made everyone around him miserable. You know, like I do think first off, it's more sustainable, but second, what's the point? Like you don't get to take the rings with you when you die, so like you should enjoy having them, or you should enjoy earning them.
Right. No, it's interesting. I think sometimes I'm like, you got to be like unhappy to be good at this thing, but then that's just kind of a story we tell ourselves.
Yeah, I mean, the fact that it's probably that you hear more about the miserable people than the happy people,
and we romanticize it a bit.
We do. Just, I mean, to go back to Kanye, that it contributes to this sort of myth of like the tortured, miserable, but like most crazy artists don't become successful at all. Mm-hmm. Like someone was once telling me like, okay, so obviously height is correlated with success in basketball, right? But in the NBA, height is not correlated with success in basketball because the taller you get, the actually less good you are at basketball, right? Like
less coordinated,
injury prone, etc. So there's like some sort of sweet spot. Right. You want to be like 6'7".
That's a good
or
height.
Something, you know. So it's like, yeah, being like an egomaniac, being like maniacally driven, whatever. Obviously, like compared to the general population, those traits are probably helpful. But then within like the industry, it's probably more harmful than helpful. Like more often it makes you Fred Durst than it does like Steve Jobs.
Yeah, like with like Kanye and stuff. I remember I listened to like College Dropout when that came out, and I was like, this is awesome. But now with his antics as of late, and I haven't really been into rap, you know, for like 10 years or so, just because I feel like it kind of, I like the early 2000s rap, but with all his antics and stuff, I just sort of am like, to this day, I'm like, oh, he makes music still? You know, it's like so absurd to me. And then when people like feed into it and they're like, what's Kanye doing? I'm like, how are you like supporting? Like, how can you like buy into this shit? It's just so.
It also seems like it
bothers me.
sucks to be him. Like,
Yeah.
So you're very rich, very successful, clearly very talented, very famous, but like, I don't think I'd want to live in there.
No.
Like, not have his stuff. Like, people are like, oh, I'd love to have all that, but you don't get to only have that.
Yeah.
Like, no, you're like, if you're jealous of Trump, you have to be like, but you have to first off be in his body.
Yeah.
And be in his brain. Like, probably not as good as you think it is.
No.
Is it celebrity that you think did that to him? Like
To Kanye?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I think it's probably mental illness. And
Right.
then plus the celebrity, which makes treating the mental illness
impossible.
And then also the ego and the other stuff.
How have you managed to like stay balanced with like your increased kind of attention and
Well, I think it's much easier when
notoriety.
you're not like touring stadiums and like
Right,
doing
no.
billions of streams. You know, like I think it's much.
But you're getting like thousands of responses a day, right?
Yeah, but I mean, it's different. It's like, I think it's much more manageable for sure. But I think you just focus on the work. That's the irony, is like, there's no way the good Kanye music is coming from the place of the crazy. You like the guy who's like, slavery is a choice. You know, it's that's not the guy in the studio writing like Jesus Walks or you know.
Great song.
Yeah, I can't actually name that. That's the weird thing about Kanye. It's like, he's much more famous than like how many songs like you would hear in like a regular rotation.
I don't even know any of his songs past like 2008.
When did Watch the Throne come out?
Like 2013, I want to say.
I feel like that is
That's when it started.
No, that was like the peak of that was like when music was bigger than the other shit.
Did you read that Lou Reed review of Yeezus?
Lou Reed reviewed.
It was so good.
What did he say?
He just like said a bunch of things, but he just had such a beautiful understanding of what Kanye West was going for.
Lou Reed, like, what does he have? One song?
Lou Reed?
Yeah.
They got a couple. Velvet Underground? Well, they say only 500 people bought the record, but they all started bands. It's like the big cliche about him, was that his influence was like larger than his notoriety. But no, he's got some pale blue eyes and like...
Perfect Day.
And what's the sweet one? Sweet Jane. Thank God I found that song. I thought I was only going to be able to name one.
That's what. Anyways.
And Walk on the Wild Side. There we go.
Well, yeah, that's.
Yeah. Are you...
I'm just saying, like, Lou Reed telling me that Kanye is awesome. That doesn't like convince me.
Doesn't move the needle for you.
Are you into like Eastern philosophy, like Taoism and
A little bit.
Yeah, I like my two favorites are, I'd say, Stoicism and Taoism. I don't really have a question about it, but I guess are you interested?
Great
like,
ranking.
Yeah, are you interested?
How far could you go?
Yeah, does that influence your work at all? I guess is my question.
My stillness book is sort of the intersection of Eastern and Western philosophy.
Yeah.
What I love is when you find two things that didn't overlap that come upon similar conclusions.
Right.
Yeah, that's my favorite too.
Yeah.
That's what Joseph Campbell talked about, right?
Yeah, sort of monomyths.
Yeah.
They're like, oh, this is like in evolution, they talk about convergent evolution when like two species that never really interacted developed similar adaptations.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, okay, that's good because it was needed.
Yeah, I heard someone say that about aliens. They'd probably look more like us than we think because maybe evolution heads in the same. I know like the weather and all those factors would matter, but like they're basically like evolution goes in the same direction.
Well, like bats and birds, they both fly because it's like, oh, we could get around with wings, you know, and that's how the air works.
Interesting.
If you could have
but they're different.
Yeah.
If you could have a superpower, which would you go with?
What are the options?
Infinite, I guess.
But I guess
Flight, strength,
Invisibility.
teleportation,
I don't know.
super eyesight.
I don't have a strong opinion. And
Do you like Marvel?
I don't like any superhero movies.
Any?
I don't think I think like the last superhero movie I saw the Christopher Nolan Batman movies, which I feel like don't count. And then
Because they're like more
they're like
serious.
regular movies.
They're
These are
kind of-
like adult
yeah.
movies.
Can I guess what your
Okay.
favorite Iron Man?
No, I was gonna say the last superhero movie I saw would have been like when Tobey Maguire was in.
Oh, really?
Those were good.
Way back.
Those
Yeah.
are good.
Those are
First
good.
I've
one are good.
been out.
Yeah.
I don't really like superhero shit. I don't like comic books. I don't like science fiction.
Interesting.
So I'm just not really.
And that's like the most popular genre, right?
I mean, it's
like,
basically the
or like
only
fantasy
movies that exist now.
Like, well, even in books, people
Yeah.
love fantasy books, but I have real trouble getting into them.
Yeah, I just don't like when I have to like be like, wait, okay, so there is gravity or not gravity. Like, I don't like having to learn.
Work
like,
out the rules of the
a new
universe.
thing.
Yeah. Did you do Game of Thrones?
No.
Nice. So what do you watch? You watch like grounded human dramas? Like
I
You Can
guess,
Count on
but
Me?
even like as I've gotten older, I'm just like, I don't have time to be like, I don't have not time. I don't have it in me to be like stressed out about this. You know,
Right.
like so like I remember Bloodlines. Like I watched 2 seasons of, and then I was like, I just don't. Why am I stressed? Like I can't handle being stressed about this. You know, like I don't want. I don't like.
Well, so
want
you're a
that.
sensitive viewer too. You really do take it to heart a little bit.
Well, yeah, and then like Pete Holmes told me one time that like as you have kids, like you can't watch anything bad that happens to kids. So that like takes out a whole. So I like really like I love like Law and Order. It was like very self-contained.
You're in and you're out.
Yeah, and then I like sitcoms, like good sitcoms like Seinfeld or The Office. Like I could watch them all, but it has to be more self-contained. And that's I actually have trouble on the streaming stuff where it's like, okay, for the first 2 seasons nothing happens, but it's like, okay, that's like 20 hours
big
of
buy-in.
Yeah.
video for nothing. I can't do just like the character-driven serial shit as well as I maybe used to be able to.
Do you get annoyed by just how ubiquitous Marvel is too? Just where it's like everywhere all the time and it just
I don't.
keeps
It doesn't
coming?
like bother me. I'm just
yeah.
like, cool, I guess. But it seems like a lot of. I guess I'm more like, who is this for? Like, who?
Adults watch it.
I know, but I'm just like, who are you? It's kind of like Clubhouse, where I'm like, who's going on Clubhouse?
Leah Lamar, good friend.
Leah
of
Lamar
ours.
is, yeah.
She's crushing it on there.
Like, I just don't have time for like.
I went on there.
digital
I did a Bumble thing.
Oh, that's right.
Bumble sponsored something.
Bumble sponsor. I didn't know Bumble was sponsoring it. The first thing I said, they're like, "What dating app do you like to use?" I'm like, "I'm a Hinge guy," and then they muted me. I was like, "Oh fuck, dude, I fucked up."
Yeah, no, I with Marvel, yeah, I do find it hard to care about the characters. Did Sopranos or did any of those like sort of revolutionary TV shows grab you though? Like
They
Sopranos,
did, and
Wire?
obviously Mad Men was great, but like
Yeah.
I'm more like after that I was just like, okay, I can't do like that
It's too much
anymore.
time. Yeah, well, that's like Sopranos. I got sucked into Sopranos for a second time last year, around this time last year. I was just gonna watch the pilot because I was gonna make like a story about it, and I was like, whatever. But then I got sucked in. I was like, all right, now the next month is like kind of fucked for me.
I liked The Crown.
Well, did you watch all of the different iterations of it and all the different
I thought that
actors
was
and
good,
actresses?
but it was there was less like I don't know, the stakes felt lower. I can't do like the oh shit, I gotta watch the next episode to find out what happens to these people.
Yeah,
Like at least you kind of like knew.
Yeah, you know where
real.
it's gonna end up.
Yeah, she's still alive.
How is she still kicking?
Dude, it's crazy.
who?
The Queen.
Elizabeth.
Oh right,
She's
oh yeah,
tough.
she's
man.
crushing it. Yeah,
She's gonna outlive everybody.
dude, yeah, she's just.
I was really worried that was gonna cap off 2020.
That she was gonna go down.
That was like the like the shittiest year of all. Like what could the worst? That I felt like that.
You think that was the worst year?
No, I'm just saying like if you're like okay, what else could go
If you were
wrong
writing
this
it,
year?
right.
Yeah, like let's drop that in like December 29th or something.
Is there a stoic opinion on dating apps?
I don't think so. I mean, the stoicism predates them, as you know.
You got to give me more on masturbation and on dating because these are the things I'm fixated on.
I also predate dating apps. So I met my wife when I was 19
Oh,
How'd you guys meet?
at Riverside.
MXPX concert.
At UC Riverside?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
You guys just had a class together or something?
No, we just met at a kickback. You know.
Nice. Dude, I know a kickback, dude.
Dude, I
Some
love
carne
that.
asada tacos? What was going on?
I probably playing beer pong and
Did you sync a no rebuttal with her?
who knows what would have been this one in 2006. So I don't know what would have been on the radio.
Good char.
Maybe a little dirty little secret.
Charlotte
All
was-
American Rejects.
That's a great suggestion.
It's a good song.
Jimmy Eat World.
Definitely.
Were you nervous around women at that time or no?
I mean, I guess. Yeah.
Were you nervous when how'd you guys
I mean, we just met and then became started talking. A lot of was it MSN or AOL? I don't remember, but a lot of instant messenger stuff. Minimal texting because it was still the IO9 or what was it? What's the predictive text thing called?
I don't
remember
know.
when you would type? You don't remember this? How old are you?
33.
Do you remember when you used to have to type like it was like the keypad, and you had to type,
and it would tell you like what the word was going to be.
Yeah, then it was the options that you would choose.
It was like 9 was like Z, X, Y.
Yeah. So like, a lot of.
How'd you propose?
So I was supposed to propose, like I bought a wedding ring and it was in a safe in our house, and then our house got broken into and they stole the ring.
No.
So
were you home when they broke in?
No, we were gone. We were in LA, and this is the house was in Austin, and so it was like I was on the phone with the police, and they were like, "Was there anything valuable in the safe?" And we were like talking on speakerphone, and I'd be like, "Shit."
Was that super violating to have someone break in?
Yeah, it was fucking worse. Weirdly, to go to your point about masturbation, this is a couple years after I was profiled in Hustler. Like they wrote some piece about my first book, and so like they'd sent me a couple copies, and we were getting them framed. We're getting it like framed in like a display. So the Hustler was like in like the closet where the safe was, and like it was very clear that like some like 16-year-old boys were the ones who broke into the house because like they had taken the Hustlers and they were like red. Yeah. That's nice. I don't know how much they used them, but they were like titillated by the.
They couldn't leave them behind. They were like, "Those are valuable. Let's grab those."
Look at that.
Dude, we gotta go.
We're saving ourselves some embarrassment when we have to try to buy these at the CVS.
Exactly.
Dude, no way.
Was it hard to sleep back in your house after someone broke into it?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the part that freaks me out.
Yeah.
Yeah. How'd you get over that? Just time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't really think about that. Although I guess that goes against Stoic philosophy. You gotta imagine
think about what?
People breaking in. People are are like a lot of people I talk to. JT, it's like they think about people. I just don't. I don't know.
Yeah, I think it's better not to think about. But once it's happened, then you're sort of like
you're forced to think about it.
Yeah. I feel like I should imagine it happening more if I'm.
I don't know why I think the world. There's that Einstein quote, like, "Is the world hostile or friendly?" I don't know what snapped in me early that made me think it's hostile. I do. Like when I pull up at a red light, I park like 10 feet behind the car in front of me in case the guy in front gets out, and I have a way to drive around him in case he like attacks me or pulls a gun. Yeah, I have options.
I do feel like our generation grew up in like a time of endlessly declining crime, and then like when I talk to like if I spend time around like older relatives or whatever, I think they go through the world as if it's like some like crime dystopia. They're like, "I'm walking out to the car in the driveway, better like lock the house behind me, like armed robbers were gonna like come bursting through." There's a level. I think our generation is a bit more spoiled, where it's just like things are generally safe.
Yeah.
Obviously, it's different, depending on what race you are, where you live, or whatever. But generally, I'd sort of not a concern.
Do you perceive the world as pretty friendly?
I would say indifferent.
Right.
It doesn't give a shit about you, it means it's not out to get you, but it also is not protecting you.
It could throw you off at any second.
Yeah. I mean, there's literally a deadly virus floating in the air that's killed like 700,000
It's so
people.
scary, man. I'm terrified of COVID. Yeah. It's scary.
Yeah, of course. I'm not terrified of it, but I'm like, I don't want any part of that.
You haven't gotten it?
No. Have you?
No.
You?
No.
You?
Nope. And I'm jabbed too.
Yeah, fully. Yeah. We went early to dodge because we heard our buddy worked there at the vaccination site, and he's like they have spares that they're throwing away, so they're kind of they're just like letting anyone through. So we went in early, and my buddy and I, Dan, were in a car, and they're like, "So what do you do?" And I'm like, and it was before like they had the pre-qualifications or whatever, and I'm like, "I'm a comedian." They're like, "Okay." They're like, you don't seem essential.
There was a like a Soul Cycle instructor.
Oh yeah,
that got it in New York as a teacher.
Oh really?
Yeah, she's like, "I'm
hilarious."
A teacher. Has anyone gotten their boosters yet?
No, but I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah.
What do you? How would you? Because I'm super pro-vaccine, but I really do understand people who are afraid of it. Because
I just wish they would admit they're afraid of it, as opposed to like no, it's bad.
How do you see it working itself out? Do you think people will come around? Do you think we'll just mandate it and then people
they'll probably quietly admit they're wrong, over time? Like they'll get it because they want to go to a fucking... I was in Sacramento 2 days ago, and it's like there's a Mark Anthony concert. Watch all these people like they want to go to a Mark Anthony concert.
I've been listening to some of his music lately, actually.
Great.
He's got like a real Messiah complex if you watch the videos.
Remember that Enrique Iglesias song, Hero?
It's a great song.
That
Mickey
was an
Rourke in the
epic
video.
song,
Jennifer
epic
Love
music
Hewitt.
video. Yeah, Mickey Rourke's like playing that piano or something. There's a
I mean, that goes straight to me. Like, I love songs like that where it's like very dramatic. Hero, bad guy. You got to step up.
Yeah.
What do you got the rest of your trip?
I got to do ritual tomorrow, and then I have a virtual talk in the morning, and then I'm going to. Do you know, Sarah? If you watch Ghost Town Living on YouTube?
No.
So my friend, he actually started as my intern. He now he has a ghost town 3 hours from here.
Oh, very cool.
He bought a ghost town.
He bought it?
Yeah, he bought it.
That's
and
cool.
he lives there. He spent the whole pandemic there.
Yeah.
And he started making YouTube videos about it, and it blew up.
Oh, that's really cool.
So my kids want to like go see it.
Is it haunted?
He says it's haunted.
Yeah. Has he seen any ghosts?
He said he has some ghost stories. Yeah.
Really?
But it's like these cool old buildings and
Yeah.
tunnels and shit.
I don't want to see ghosts, but I get really...
Do you think they exist?
I don't know. Everyone I talk to, like, if it's... Oftentimes girls will be like, I know I've seen ghosts like all the time, but I'm too scared to like believe in them, because if I feel like if I do believe in them and then they are real and then I start seeing them, I'm going to be like, fuck, I fucked up big time. What do you think?
I do love that there's like whole genres of TV shows like about finding ghosts,
Yeah.
and they just never like
They never actually...
just imagine like you're like, okay, on this show, like we all know ghosts don't exist, but we're gonna find them on this show. You know, like, it just like never pays off. It's pretty it's like you almost like respect a good hustle.
Yeah, totally. And they have like those special cameras. They're like picking up the electromagnetic. Like,
Yeah, we made this could be something.
Yeah.
And then it's like next.
Yeah.
They're like next on, and then it comes back, and they're like, we think we found. It's just like replaying the same fucking 4 seconds of tension.
Yeah, they're like in like an old prison. They hear this like
What was
this
that?
like slam. They're like, what was that slam?
Turns out not a ghost.
Yeah.
On to the next.
It was the camera guy.
So yeah, someone
He
drops
dropped
something
the-
crafty.
Yeah, he dropped the boom mic.
All right, what are these questions?
All right, first up. What up, guys? I've been listening to you Sultans and Stoke for a year now, and on a real note, you give some seriously great advice that's helped me through some tough times. I just moved to SoCal to fulfill a lifelong dream after a pretty wild cancer diagnosis. I'm good now, just keeping an eye on it, and losing my job because of COVID. Just thought now was the best time to step out of my comfort zone, move somewhere I don't know anyone, do some really crazy, and live life to the fullest. I'm loving it down here, by the way. Been catching a sweet tan, learned how to surf, and met some real solid bros. Here's the dealio, compadres. I had a very serious girlfriend throughout college that really threw me for a loop. Very toxic relation, not much trust, and she played a lot of mind games that I realized later in the relationship, which led me to finally end it. I had to take a break for some self-care and figure that whole thing out. It's been like 3 years though. Straight up though, dog. Your boy feeling lonely and I'm ready to mingle, but I've been out of the game for so long, I don't know how to get back in. If you legends can impart some wisdom on the situation, it'd be a huge help. You guys are awesome. Stay stoked. Come back to play another show in SD soon. Judd.
Do you have a take on what?
I'm not sure how qualified I am to answer this for the reasons we were just discussing.
Right.
But
I think. Well, I guess I'd say you got to get out there. You got to meet people. You just got to put yourself out there, and I think too. Just going back to having you on the podcast and stuff, it's sort of like when you start reading books and start working on yourself and like working on your confidence and instead of sort of just chasing girls just to like help them fulfill you because you think that they're gonna like fill that hole or whatever. I think if you work on yourself, and then you'll find that you'll be able to connect with a lot more
if
girls.
you get your shit together,
Yes.
it's, one, you'll be more confident, but then two, you'll exude that confidence
Yes.
in a way that will make the thing that you're intimidated about much easier.
Right.
And like, yeah, I kind of think about like if I was dating now, it would be much easier because like I know who I am. I know what I like.
Yeah.
Feel good about myself, and I'd be okay being rejected by people who aren't into that, like who don't not into that, but who are just like, if they're not into me, why this isn't for me? It's like good to know.
Yeah. Totally.
For sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would just get out there, take some swings, and then don't let a win get to your head or a loss get to your heart. Just, yeah, try and stay. Just realize, I think the thing with dating is like you feel like it's going to like fix you and it just doesn't. So it's hard to detach from that. But the more you can be like, I'm okay without this, even if you're just telling yourself that, it generally makes it a smoother road.
I always say it to join rec league sports.
Nice.
There's lots of women in co-ed sports.
Oh, you dog.
And if you're good at the sport that you choose to play, obviously you probably should. That's what more, you've got confidence there. You're exuding it. You're playing well in the field.
That's really good advice.
Yeah.
This is a quick one, but it's pretty deep. I'm an ex-mercenary. I made a lot of money hurting people. Now being a family man feels weird.
Sorry to hear that. What do you think he needs to? What do you think he's asking for?
Sorry.
Well, first of all, don't let your daughter go follow you two on tour in Europe. She's going to be taken.
That's a good point. You don't want to have to use your special skills.
Exactly.
I don't know. I think a lot of life is juggling different truths in yourself that can sometimes feel like they can't coexist, but they have to. So you just have to realize you are one person and you are this new person. And then I think like if you help people, that can help you kind of forget stuff. Like I was in addiction program for sex addiction, and then there was one guy who had a similar career path where he was responsible for some people not being around anymore. And he dedicated the second half of his life to like building homes in like devastated countries and things like that. So I think for like every life he took, he wanted to like contribute to the betterment of another life.
Isn't that part of recovery too? Like the idea of being of service, to like take your head out of your own problems by focusing on other people's problems.
It works miracles too. Yeah. Cause it's like the self is the issue. You can't think your way through it. You just kind of got to get out of it and just do stuff that makes you forget about it.
Agreed.
Yeah, I think be the hero of your own movie.
Yeah.
Maybe that's the problem though. He was the hero of an action.
Yeah, there's a lot of heroes where they're mercenaries. Yeah.
Right. This is the sequel.
Maybe just be a regular person, which is a heroic in its own.
Yeah, go from like a Bruce Willis movie to a Tom Hanks movie.
Hell yeah.
Make the transition.
Or a Bruce Willis comedy.
Nice.
Yeah. I love Bruce Willis. Do you have a favorite actor?
I don't think so.
Nice. We had to pick our favorite actors. Dude, I went Sean Penn in my first round pick.
Dude.
I totally blew it.
He got destroyed in the comments.
Why is that a bad pick?
He's a great actor, but I just don't think he really strikes a chord with people the way like Harrison Ford or Denzel Washington do.
Denzel's a good pick.
Yeah, I mean, he's the best, right?
He was number one overall.
I would have thought you would have ironically picked like a Vin Diesel or something.
I take myself very seriously. I told you this outside. Yeah, I was like, look, this is a draft. I gotta, I'm a GM here. There's a responsibility. What was I gonna say? Never mind. All right. Oh no, this is what I was gonna say. You talked to Matthew McConaughey.
Yeah.
What was that like?
He's cool.
He does seem cool.
He is cool.
He seems cool. Do you have whiskey with him? Do you drink whiskey with him?
We've never met because we met during the pandemic.
Through Zoom.
So we've never connected.
Right.
But cool dude. Great book.
I have that book. I need to read it. Green Knights.
If you like audiobooks are the
I've
way to do
heard
it.
that. He reads it, right?
Yeah.
Green Knights.
What is this one? Hold on, I got it right here. Last one.
All right.
Is it okay to have a friendship with my ex-girlfriend who has a husband?
Probably not.
No.
That's probably not. Not good for you. Probably not good for her.
Yeah.
It's time to move on.
Yeah, it's just not, the husband's not going to like that very much.
Yeah. How great of a friend could this person be, or you wouldn't have broken up?
Make a new friend. It's not smart to sleep with your friends, right?
I would say probably not.
I like the probably.
I mean,
Yeah.
I don't know if there's like a hard and fast rule, but I would say generally probably going to cause more problems than it solves.
For sure.
Dude, Ryan, thank you so much for coming in.
Dude,
Thanks for
thank you
having
so
me
much,
again.
man.
Yeah,
It's a
it's so
pleasure.
great.
Yeah.
Great to see you.
Thank you.
And Stokers, check out your book comes out 28th.
28th.
28th. Courage is Calling. by Ryan Holiday.
Oh, that's exciting. It's not out yet? Do you get nervous?
Of course.
Yeah. Well, I'm sure it's going to go gangbusters.
Thanks.
I'm positive.
And then anything else you want to add? Daily Stoic.
Oh yeah, Daily Stoic. Free email every day about stoicism. DailyStoic.com, and then also YouTube and Instagram at Daily Stoic.
Cool.
Hell yeah.
Cool.
Thank
so
you,
much.
dude.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah. What a dork. Was that on camera? Were we recording?
Yeah.
Can I keep that in?
I am a dork, yeah.
No, you're not. You're very cool. That's why I say it.
No, thank you.
You're a very cool guy.
So are you.
No, dude.
Dude, you are.
Dude,
cool.
no
Dude,
way,
you're cool.
dude. No way.
You're cool, and you keep rolling.
Rolling. What? Well, chat. Let's roll right into it. Who's your beef of the week?
My beef of the week is with the constant updates. I've probably done this before, but I think it's the beef of the week every week in this modern age of technology. My computer every day, new software update. Instagram, new update, new algorithm. Everything is being updated, and it's good as is. Quit it with the updates. Where I'm content with where things are at. Never do I ever think, man, I would buy another iPhone if they had more updates. You know what I mean? It's like everyone has the iPhone, so just leave it. Yeah, like I don't know what they're doing because rarely do the updates feel beneficial. They just feel like a nuisance.
That's my beef of the week.
Yeah.
I just decided because my computer, I shut it down and restart. I restart it like once every 2 months.
Yeah.
I restarted. Google Chrome's like brand new. I had to re-put in all my passwords.
Yeah.
And then when I kept logging into my email, it kept taking me to a new window, not a new tab, a new window.
Yeah.
And I was like, quit fucking doing that, dude.
Yeah.
I don't need a new window. I like it all to be on the same window, just multiple tabs.
Yeah.
And then I don't know my passwords. I'm real dumb with that stuff. So I had to
Yeah.
log into like Amazon, and then I had to log into like my email, and then I had to log into just a bunch of into like an open mic sign up for Fourth Wall. And I was like, dude, this is so frustrating. We were at the office that we've been at, and I was ready to snap. I was like about to go, fuck this, and like break my computer. You can't do that.
Yeah.
And then so I just was like, I was fuming, dude.
Dude.
And I never like the new look of anything.
No.
Like Chrome has like a different like glow to it now, and I'm like, I hate it. I hate it. I was very comfortable with where we were at.
Yeah. And it's almost like I can feel the insecurity of these tech companies. They're like, I'm like, if you guys would just be secure in what you created and leave it as is, I'd stick with you till the end.
Take a page from Keanu.
Exactly. Stick to your guns.
It shows integrity.
It's like Instagram. I don't know what Instagram did.
It sucks,
but they
now.
really fucked it up.
And that hurt us too, because
Yeah, they really fucked up.
our engagement went down. So why'd you do that, Instagram? Dude, my friend was telling me that Netflix, when they think about who they're competing against, they don't think about Hulu or Amazon. They think about
Social
TikTok.
media.
Yeah.
Interesting.
That's who their main
That makes sense.
Their main foe is. Right.
Yeah.
That's where the eyeballs are. And people, they go to sleep just watching an hour of TikTok.
Yeah, maybe that's why they got Addison Rae for like a 3-picture deal or something.
Really?
Yeah.
Interesting. Aaron, you ready?
Yeah. My
Beef it
beef
up.
is also software based. It's with Adobe.
Nice.
I've been trying to download Premiere for like a month. It's like I'm being gaslit by Adobe. Like
It
first they
is.
didn't want the credit card. Now that's working. Now every time I hit install, it just is waiting. For what?
It's teasing you.
Yeah. That's my beef.
Good beef. Chad, who's your babe of the week?
My babe of the week is our buddy Dan Lucchese. I'm sure I've made him my babe before,
sure.
but I just love the guy. He's just a very lovely guy, and we work with him a ton. And we started working with him about 2 years, a little more than 2 years ago now.
That's crazy, dude.
It's crazy. And he's just the best guy. Just so sweet, so smart, so artistic, so creative, and just a hard worker and just good vibes. And you can just tell he's just very genuine and means well. He's just, and he's English too, which, every time you talk to him, you're just like, no matter what you're talking about, you're like, this is a sophisticated conversation. And it could be about, McDonald's. So what up, Dan?
What up, dude? He's a great guy.
Great guy.
So sweet.
Yeah.
And so smart.
He's
Aaron,
funny too.
Who's your baby of the week?
My baby of the week is my daughter Ruby.
Oh,
Nice.
We took her for her 9-month checkup, and she's 94th percentile in height.
Dude.
So I'm like,
nice.
dang, she's gonna be tall. It's gonna be great.
That's awesome.
Did you buy a basketball right after?
No, I'm thinking she's probably gonna be a starting pitcher in baseball now.
Dude, legend.
Yeah.
My
This
baby.
is
Oh,
what
sorry. Go
tall
ahead.
guys are. Sorry,
I didn't mean to cut you off when you're talking about your daughter.
it's all good.
So she's gonna be big.
I mean, 94th percentile. That's.
Let's go. That's
I don't even know
an
if I was there. I assume.
My baby of the week is corn dogs.
Nice.
Nice.
They're great.
Tasty. What's your dip? What's your dip, man?
Ketchup.
Yeah,
Classic.
what about the mustard and ketchup where you put them together, you mix it?
I don't mind that.
Yeah.
I don't mind that at all. Chad, who's your legend of the week?
My legend of the week is Ethan Hawke.
Dude.
Yeah. He's just great. He's a great actor, and I like hearing him in interviews because he's so like soulful, and he's just very passionate. He's like, yeah, you just get into the scene, and you're like,
He
what
loves
is this?
art.
Yeah, he loves art too. I watched Before Sunrise last night, and
Dude, I'm fired up you watch that. It's like my favorite movie ever.
yeah, it's a great movie, and he's awesome, and he's been solid since what, like late '80s.
Yeah. Like, what would be the first big one? Like Dead Poets Society?
Yeah, what a beast.
It's like 87, 88.
Yeah, gotta give him props.
He's so romantic in Before Sunrise, too.
Oh, yeah.
And he spins it. He spins it.
Yeah, I was watching it with a lady,
Oh, that's nice.
and so I
Wait, the gal that we talked about?
yeah, and
Can I reveal what we found out about her?
I don't know.
I can
When's
cut it
this
out.
yeah, you could say it. Yeah.
He's like, hey, look at this girl I've been seeing. And I look at her, I go, she looks exactly like your ex-girlfriend.
Whoops.
And I don't think he had noticed yet.
Yeah.
But they are literally dead ringers. They are identical.
What does that mean?
You got to type.
You gotta
I
type.
gotta
yeah.
tell you, yeah.
She's lovely.
She's lovely, yeah.
It's a good movie to watch.
Yeah, I used some of Ethan's moves after.
Dude, when I watched that movie with my ex, she was like, did you base your whole personality off this guy? I was like, not consciously. Yeah.
Well, the thing about it is he's like kind of cheesy, but like I was watching it with her, and she's like, I love how like romantic he is.
He's very earnest.
Yeah, and I'm like, would you like that in real life? And she's like, I don't know. I think it kind of might be creepy.
It might be a bit much.
Yeah.
That's the response I get a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah, it kind of freaks people out.
Yeah.
Aaron, who's your baby of the week?
My
Or
baby
legend of the week.
Legend of the week, yeah. Also comes from the film world. His name is Destin Daniel Cretton. He's the director of the Shang-Chi, and the Ten
nice.
Rings, the latest Marvel movie. I went to film school with this guy.
Whoa.
He's an awesome dude. He's always had this like great he's from Hawaii. He's got this great energy to him. But then he's just this fantastic filmmaker. He made a movie that was great at Sundance called Short Term 12, based on the
Brie
short.
Larson movie?
Yeah, based on the short that he made that won Sundance.
Dude, the way they pick directors for Marvel movies is like incredible.
Yeah, I mean, I know a guy who directed a Marvel movie. Like, it's insane.
That's crazy.
That's
Yeah.
cool.
He's just an awesome dude and an amazing filmmaker. So go see the movie. It's got an 8.0 on IMDb.
Nice.
My legend of the week is from the book T by Carol Hooven. It's all about testosterone and how it affects our psychology. And it's this professor of medicine from the 1800s named Arnold Berthold. And he's the one who discovered that our testosterone works through our blood, not through our nervous system. And the way he did that was he had a bunch of cockerels, young male chickens, and he'd castrate them. And then he would watch them change in physicality and in personality without their nuts. And then what he did was he took one of the testes and he took a testy from one of the chickens, opened its abdomen, and stuck the nut in its stomach, and then sewed it back up. And then he saw that it continued in its masculinization from testosterone. And when he opened it back up at the end of its life, he saw that the testicle had attached itself to the colon and still pumped T throughout the body, throughout the bloodstream.
Crazy.
Yeah, so big time legend. Love where your head's at. Love you knocking off the knobs on these chickens, then stuffing their balls back in their stomach, and all for the betterment of understanding in society. So big ups to you, Arnold. You're a beast. And I'm sure a lot of people were giving you a sideways glance when you were telling them about your work, but 300 years later, we're still talking about you. Chad, what's your quote of the week?
It's got to be from Marcus Aurelius, in light of having Ryan Holiday on. The master of Stoicism, Marcus Aurelius. You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength.
Nice. Aaron, what's your quote of the week?
How's this? This is a decent one. The way I see it, if you want the rainbow, you got to put up with the rain. Dolly Parton.
Oh.
She's not on Google.
Nice.
Yeah.
I don't know when this is coming out, but I'm running it back on my quote of the week. It's from True Detective Season 2. Colin Farrell's character, Ray Velcro, absolute nutbag, goes over to beat up his son's bully, who's an 11-year-old. He beats up the kid's dad. And this is one part I forgot to emphasize, is that in one of the greatest lines of dialogue ever committed to any form or any medium, he's not saying it to the dad. He's talking to an 11-year-old when he says this. He's talking to an 11-year-old kid, and he says, bully my son again, or if you ever touch anybody again, and I'll come back here and butt-fuck your dad with your mom's headless corpse. For Nick Pizzolatto, the writer, to write that scene and have a grown man say that to an 11-year-old, I don't know. I just don't think it gets better than that.
That's nice.
It's my first time, two-time quote of the week.
Nice. Show that 11-year-old who's boss.
It probably changed him for the better. I'm sure he was nice after that, which is unfortunate, but that's how people learn sometimes. Chad, what's your phrase of the week for getting after it?
Let's paddle.
Nice. Aaron?
Let's go warp some 11-year-olds.
Nice. Mine is Michael Jackson. I wanna love you. PYT, pretty young thing.
Nice.
It's a great song.
Hell yeah. All right. Well, thanks to Ryan Holiday for coming on.
What a beast.
That was great. That was such a fun conversation.
He was great.
Yeah. It's pretty wild. That, like, you read the guy's books, you know, and then you just talk about Limp Bizkit with him.
Then he's in here just flesh and blood talking about Limp Bizkit.
What a crazy life we live.
It's nice. He's a great guy.
All right, dudes. Peace.
Peace.
Boom, bap, boom, bap, boom, bap, boom, bap, boom, boom.
Hand me the screws.
Boom, bap, boom, bap, boom, bap, boom, bap, boom, bap.
Guys,
Boom, bap, boom, bap, boom, bap, boom,
guys.
boom, bap, 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 boom,
What is your beef of the week? Aaron, who's your beef of the week? Strider, who's your beef of the week? Joe, what's your quote of the week? Chad, what is your beef of the week? Aaron, who's your beef of the week? Strider, who's your beef of the week? Joe, what's your quote of the week? Chad, what is your beef of the week? Aaron, who's your beef of the week? Strider, who's your beef of the week? Joe, what's your quote of the week? Chad, what is your beef of the week? Aaron, who's your beef of the week? Strider, who's your beef of the week? Joe, what's your quote of the week?